Hey guys, welcome to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Steve Insley. We're in the toxicology laboratory here at Kansas State University. Gonna have a show. We're going to talk about water quality and where you send your samples to Dr. Insley.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Dan Thomson here with my friend and colleague, Dr. Steve Insley. We're here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, and we're here in the tox section where Dr. Insley is the director of toxicology here at Kansas State, and we're going to talk about something you know.
Right, so water quality is a real interest of mine. That's what my master's and PhD were on, or drinking water quality. So I've got a real interest, and I think it's probably the most important nutrient that we have that we don't even look at most of the time.
So when you tell me a little bit about what your background was, what kind of research did you do on?
So my master's was actually drinking water quality of swine, and so we looked at the drinking water and measured probably 20 different parameters of the water, from the minerals to nitrate to coliform, and then tried to correlate that with any production or reproduction effects. And my PhD was on dairy cattle, and basically the same thing. We looked at these parameters of drinking water to see if what effects they did have on animals. And there's, it's a big, drinking water has a big impact on dairy cows, especially because 80%, 90% of milk is water. So it's directly related to water consumption, how much milk production you can get.
Well, and we see it correlated in feed yards to intake, and if there's something off with water and we decrease the water intake, we're going to decrease feed intake, and if we decrease feed intake is to a feedlot manager as airspeed is to a pilot.
Right.
Very,
exactly.
very important. So
exactly.
Fine tuning that. But what are some of the common issues we see with water, or things that are why we would be sampling?
So the number one issue really in feedlot situations is usually sulfur content, or the sulfate content of the water, because with DDGs being a large component of our diets, there's a lot of sulfur, sulfur issues with our diets. So we need to make sure we know what the drinking water is, because the impact is really total dietary sulfate, which includes the water and the diet. So we, at a minimum, we need to know what the water sulfate, drinking water sulfate is.
What are some of the other things that you see out there with like outside cattle and things like that, as the samples tend to roll into the lab?
So I just had a call this week from Bazine, Kansas, where they actually hauled water and they were hauling it in a fertilizer tank. They just used to haul fertilizer, and so they had nitrate issues in the drinking water and killed about 10 cows in a half an hour. But so drinking water, my drinking water parameters are nitrate, coliform for the bacterial concentration, the total dissolved solids. And to me, that's number one thing I want to look at, and then sulfate concentration.
Awesome. Well, let's take a break. Let's go to commercial. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what kind of samples we're going to take, what time of year, many different things that you need to know about water quality for your animals, here with Dr. Steve Insley, Kansas State University Toxicology.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Imagine everything you could ever dream about when it comes to horses. Those dreams come true at the 21st Annual Equipest coming to Topeka, Kansas in February at the Kansas Expo Center, the largest equine expo in the Midwest with shopping, food, clinics, workshops, and more. World-class trainers, over 100 horses performing throughout the 3 days, displaying a variety of breeds, disciplines, demonstrations, and competitions. Vendors from all over the U.S. and non-stop entertainment. If you love horses, join us at Equipest of Kansas in Topeka, Kansas. Get tickets at equipestofks.com.
PFI Western Store, home of Boot Daddy, proud to be part of Equipest. PFI, located at 65 on Battlefield in Springfield, Missouri. Spend $50 at PFI and get a Boot Daddy hoodie for only $10.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Steve Insley. We're on faculty at Kansas State University, and Dr. Insley and I go way back. We've spent a couple of decades together, and he's one of the people that really gets it. He's a former practitioner. His father is a practitioner. He understands the component of service and how the university can provide service to the stakeholders, which is the producers, the veterinarians, and beyond.
Right.
And so utilize our tox lab, utilize our services. That's why we took these jobs, is to come in here and serve. Now, when we're talking about water, you've got a container here. So pretty big container.
It is. So
It's bigger than I thought it'd be.
right. A lot of times, sample size is critical. If I can get 500 mils, that way I can have enough. If I've got to redo a test, or I have enough sample that we can do it with. If I get 10 mils in a tube, that's usually we can do it with that small amount. But I'd like to have a 500 mil size, and so this is kind of typical of what I would like. Most of my samples actually come in pop bottles. It was on a dash. Somebody washed it out. Beer can, whatever. And I can use any of that water, but ideally I'd like to have a dedicated water sample that was collected aseptically as you can collect it, and mainly for the bacterial contamination that we want to look at there. So when you collect water, there's a couple of things I think I'd like to have you be aware of. So a lot of times it's collected at the wellhead or where the water comes out of the ground. So typically I like to collect it where the animals drink, because I want to see when it goes through the water distribution system what is actually there when the animals drink. So go to the drinking water device and try to collect put gloves on, try to collect an aseptic sample, get it on ice, get it submitted that same day if you can, because ideally within 24 hours of when you collected it is when we like to get it on a plate so we can see what the coliform concentration is, and that's the most accurate way to do that.
And coliforms would be E. coli.
Right. So fecal coliforms are what EPA has. That's their way to look at a standard method to look at bacterial contamination of water, and so that's the test we use. And standard methods say we need to collect it and get it on the plate within 24 hours for the most accurate result.
Yeah, Dad and I got done working calves when I was in high school. Went over to the old pump handle well, and they had the ladle on there.
Oh yeah.
And boy, that was some good water, cold, and all that. And we were drinking it down. And the rancher came out and said, "Y'all aren't drinking out of that well, are you?" And we said, "Sure are. It's good water." He opened it up, and there were
a dead rats
and cats and different things floating in it. So probably pretty high coliform count.
Right. Well, luckily
we survived.
Yeah, luckily animals can tolerate really poor water quality. That's why we get away with a lot. But if we can, give them the best water that we have available, that's the ideal situation that we want to try to get to.
Okay, so we're going to take 500 mils. We're going to try to keep contamination out. Wear gloves if you can, not because you're afraid of the water, but you don't want to get stuff off your hands into it, right?
Exactly.
And then you said put it on ice.
If you can put it on ice, just to keep it chilled. Doesn't need to be frozen, but keep it on ice ideally, and then get it in a box, get it in the lab that same day that you collect it. So, don't collect it on a Friday. Try to get it during the week when you can get it into get it to the veterinary clinic and get it in the, on ship that same day so we have it the next day. So
Perfect. Leads us right to a break, folks. Great information. Summer coming up. Get your water tested. More with Dr. Steve Insley after these messages.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply. Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Did you know long-range planning through the checkoff can help keep your business profitable? To successfully pass on cattle operations from one generation to the next, it's important to promote beef and keep farms and ranches profitable. Your beef checkoff helps do that.
We are Mike and
Martha
Armitage here at the A-Bar Ranch, Claremore, Oklahoma. We have a cow-calf production company, and we also have a marketing company. We have entertained groups brought to us by the Beef Checkoff, such as South Korean media that covered our operation and brought the good news back to South Korea.
That was a really neat experience, and that we got to have young people from another country that we got to experience a lot of different things in their culture, but got to share our culture too.
We live on the Squaw Creek Ranch. Here is a division of the A-Bar Ranch.
As a wife and a mother, and also with my background in more of a health field, I look at just the nutritional value, and it's great that the Beef Checkoff offers that kind of information to the consumers that are out there.
We both are proud to come from agricultural, more specifically ranching backgrounds.
My dad is a part of the Beef Checkoff board, and so the Beef Checkoff has been something that we promote and that we support what it has to offer.
Not everybody who's in agriculture is tech savvy on Facebook and through social media. Most people in the city happen to be, and they are very disconnected from our day-to-day routines, and that's one thing that makes me proud of the Beef Checkoff, them going to bat for us, from those who aren't necessarily anti-ag, but just simply don't know and they aren't getting the information.
As producers, we're strong supporters of that and hope that many of you out there realize all of the different things that the Beef Checkoff brings to the table for us as producers.
Hi, I'm Randy.
And I'm Paul from PFI.
We would like to personally invite you to stop by PFI, home of Boot Daddies.
PFI is America's Western store, covering over 50,000 square feet.
Over 25,000 boots.
Visit Saddle City with the largest selection of saddles and tack anywhere.
A huge selection of hats at Big Spur Hat Company in PFI Town.
And choose from the best brands of clothing and accessories for the entire family.
PFI, located on Highway 65 at the Battlefield exit in Springfield. And I'm not kidding.
I'm Rexanne Struve, veterinarian in Western Iowa. I have a veterinary clinic and started doing stem cell therapy on dogs in August of 2014. And after the first 2 dogs, after 3 weeks, I saw such dramatic results. I said, hey, I have arthritis. I have joints that really need this help. Where can I go to get this done? I had stem cell therapy done in November of 2014 on my finger joints, my hip, and the ball of my left foot, all of which I'd had real severe problems with. Saw a pretty dramatic improvement in a short amount of time. I would certainly recommend that somebody don't wait until I'm in the position that I was in with the damage already done to my joints. I encourage veterinarians to use it for their animals, and I encourage anybody who sees this video, if you have need, get in contact with these people because this is a phenomenal place to have this done.
To you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Steve Insley, who is the director of our toxicology section at Kansas State University's Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, talking about taking water samples. And you know, I as we talked during the break, that hauling water, you got to have a dedicated tank?
Right. So what the issue is, I've already seen it this week. If you have a tank that you use, big plastic polypropylene tank that you've used to haul fertilizer of any kind, you can't clean that enough to ever use that to haul water for animals. So if you have to haul water, if you're low on water, or no water supply for the animals, and you have to haul water, you have to get a dedicated tank that only hauls water, because there's no way to get the urea and the nitrate out of the tanks that you've hauled fertilizer with. Because when I see death loss, that's always the scenario, and it's very concentrated. We kill animals very quickly because solubilized nitrate or urea is a great way to kill animals very fast, especially if they're thirsty.
Probably if you go to buy a used tank, you might want to ask what somebody used it for to haul. Yeah, they've been using fertilizer.
Right, and there's no way, steel tanks or whatever, there's no way you can steam clean or get them clean enough where it's not a risk. And so to eliminate the risk.
Could someone buy a tank, fill it up with water, take some samples, send it in and see? Right. And that might be a way to find a cheap tank and test.
Right.
And that, what about pond water, things like that? What are some things that we need to test for or look for?
So ideally, ideally with pond water, we want to try to, if we can, to provide water where animals don't have to go into the pond to drink water, because when they do, we see a lot of fecal contamination and decreases the water quality. So if there's any way that you can punch a hole through the dam to drain water into a tank where they drink out of, that's the ideal situation. But if they're drinking out of the pond, the biggest issue we see now is with blue-green algae. So phosphorus and nitrate, any runoff, especially after a rainfall event, could potentially, this time of year, could cause an algae bloom. And algae, when they bloom, they can produce a toxin that's very potent at very small concentration. So if you see anything that looks like paint on the water or any kind of you need to, algae bloom is different than the moss that grows, but anything like that, be aware that may be an issue. We may need a water sample to look at.
Don't let the cow dog drink it.
Right, exactly. Because I've seen cases where a dog swam through the pond, got out on the other side, and fell over and died because they drank the water, and there was the neurotoxin blue-green algae in there that will immediately kill animals or people.
Yeah, pretty important to note. So get your samples, have a dedicated water tank for hauling water. Ponds, we're looking at blue-green algae and trying to have drinker points or something to keep cows out.
Right, if you can do that, that's ideal.
Perfect. So, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have a wrap-up session here with Dr. Steve Insley at Kansas State University.
We do business with Blueville because of the quality of their work. It is excellent quality, and because they make a commitment to their customers.
We enjoy the benefits of hiring a good company to help us maintain this home.
We will always do business with Blueville. We have for many, many years, and there's no reason for us to look for any other service.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Thanks for joining us for our Cattle First Minute as sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim Vet Medica. And you know, today's Cattle First is talking about how to run a squeeze chute. And a lot of times when we run a squeeze chute, it's raise the tailgate, drop the tailgate on the head of the one behind, let the calf run through and ricochet off the front of the chute. And there are just some things that we can do to decrease injuries in the chute of the cattle. Make sure that we use the sides effectively to catch. If you have a hydraulic chute, that we use the sides. Make sure that we have the hydraulics not set too high, okay? We want it to be at that 650 to 800 PSI on the hydraulics. But being careful that we don't miscatch a calf by its temples and not adjust it, or if you catch one by the hips and you're out there with the tagging gun in one hand and the syringe in the other doing the cha-cha trying to get it vaccinated, it's best to just turn that calf loose so neither you nor the calf get hurt.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook or Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Steve Insley. We're here in Kansas State University in the toxicology area of the diagnostic lab. We're very proud to have our native son back to Kansas and here in Kansas State, and great teacher. You're talking about we've changed these beef cows now to milking a lot more, and that just puts more pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So we have all these high milk EPDs animals that are producing a lot of milk, so they need water. So in any animal production situation, the water quality is very important. I want to have that optimum, but water availability is the biggest issue. I see if we can't get water to the animals at an adequate amount, when they come to drink, have a drinker or drinking device, or have adequate area to drink or water supply. You can produce enough water at that time they need it, because quality is very important. But if water availability trumps that every time, so we have to have enough water available on a hot day when they drink or they've eaten and want to go drink, that everybody can drink and get an adequate amount of water. So
yeah, we say in the NRC that cattle drink 5 times their dry matter intake in the summer and 3 times their dry matter intake in the fall, winter, and spring.
Exactly.
So it almost doubles the water amount that these animals need. Plus, you put on that they're milking, and we turn them out with their calves.
Right.
The calves are starting to really take off.
Yeah, they're manning. So genetically we've got a really high production animal. If you want to perform, for them to perform at their optimum, water availability is a huge issue.
It's a nutrient only second to oxygen.
Right. That's what I say. Water. The diet's great. But we don't have oxygen or we don't have water secondarily. That's that's going to be a huge impact.
So, what times of the year should I take samples? Does it matter? Or?
If it's a groundwater or water that comes from below the surface up, that's usually very stable. It doesn't change much even when in droughts, one sample a year usually will, or maybe once every 2 years, will probably tell us what the groundwater is. Surface water is totally different. It's dependent on the rainfall and availability. How much is there and the temperature. So, surface water, ponds, creeks, those kinds of things, really need to be sampled when the animals are going to be introduced, so we know what a baseline water quality looks like. And then for the summertime, May 1st, we can get it when they go out there. That's a good time to sample the water. So
before turnout or when we turn cattle out, test the water. It's been a great show. I appreciate what you do, and it's fun to work with you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, water quality, I know I'm kind of, that's a real interest of mine, but I really believe has a big impact, and we just know very little about it. We don't measure it, we don't know it, but one of the biggest things that you could overlook in an operation.
Folks, Dr. Steve Insley here at Kansas State Toxicology Department Veterinary Diagnostic Lab. Thanks for watching us. Make sure to work with your local veterinarian. If you want to know more about what we do at DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson with Dr. Steve Insley, and we'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.